Tua was spectacular. Tua is a guy who I was very high on coming out of the draft, and then after his first 2 seasons, I became a little bit more skeptical. Last year, he had his moments. Then he had the injuries, but I even made the case, even with the injuries, he had some moments where it wasn't great. I mean, against the Chargers defense in week 15? It was week 14, week 15 last year, on the road in LA with a majority Miami Dolphins fan base in the stadium. Chargers are missing, I think, 6 defensive starters, and Tua was horrible. So there were some moments last year when Tua was healthy and looked pretty darn pedestrian. But yesterday, probably the best quarterback of the weekend. 466 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Completion percentage was good, by the way. QBR of 87 and a pass rating of 110. How Tua didn't get a higher passer rating than Jordan Love is beyond me. I guess it was because of the pick, but whatever. Again, didn't get a ton of help from his running game, albeit Mike McDaniel, the head coach, was really airing it out and really outdueled Justin Herbert. Listen, Herbert had a lower pass rating, lower QBR, less passing yards, less touchdowns. And that goes to something that I've talked about, I think more than ever this offseason, that coaching in the NFL, coaching in the sport of football as a whole, is so much more important, not to minimize these other sports, but so much more important than basketball, baseball, hockey, any other sport you want to throw out. It is remarkable what a great coach can do for a player or a team. Tua is talent-wise, I think is a middle-tier guy. I don't view him the same class as Mac Jones. Tua is excellent in moving in the pocket. Tua is very accurate. But Tua showed me yesterday, by the way, dude was uncorking some bombs down the field to Tyreek Hill, who obviously had a ridiculous stat line. Tyreek Hill, 11 catches, 215, 2 touchdowns, was insane. But it is remarkable what a coach can do for a player, and on the other hand, how much he can hold a player back. Tua's got Mike McDaniel from the Kyle Shanahan system, and what he has done for Tua. And by the way, I was livid. I was beside myself when the Dolphins fired Brian Flores, who I still believe is a head coach in the NFL and hopefully gets an opportunity pretty soon after this current stint he has in Minnesota as their defensive coordinator. But Mike McDaniel's gotten the best out of Tua. Mike McDaniel's a guy who, with the Dolphins' third-string quarterback, was it Skylar Thompson was the kid's name, started in Buffalo against the Bills. Buffalo opens up 17-0, I think the score was. And Miami goes nuts offensively the rest of the game with the third stringer in cold weather as a warm weather team. Mike McDaniel scheming guys open, putting Tua in position to succeed. And then on the other hand, you have Justin Herbert, who I think is undeniably a better talent than Tua. Bigger arm, probably not quite as accurate to Tua, but he's very accurate, more mobile, more durable, just as good of a leader. Locker room respects him the same way that the Dolphins locker room respects Tua. Justin Herbert's absolutely a better prospect than Tua, and Tua's good. But he's got Brandon Staley at head coach, and he's got Kellen Moore at OC. And you saw the gap in coaching. Brandon Staley, by the way, who's a defensive head coach, it's, again, we talk about game plans today a lot. I've kind of wanted to drive the point home about how important coaching is in terms of Bill O'Brien had a good plan for New England, attacking the middle of the field where Philadelphia's weak. You had Pittsburgh, who Matt Canada was drawing up these plays that took a long time to develop against a great pass rush in San Francisco. What are you doing? And then in this case, Brandon Staley, what is the game plan? You've got Tyreek Hill, the fastest man in pads on planet Earth, and you've got a one-on-one the whole game in man-to-man coverage. Folks, the Los Angeles Chargers ran more man-to-man coverage than any team in football, and they're facing Tyreek Hill. Explain that to me. And this is why I said coming into this season, I did strengths and weaknesses for every team in the NFL. For the Chargers, their biggest weakness was 2 individuals. One of them, the second guy I mentioned, was Kellen Moore. I think you saw that late in the game. I'm not sure what his plan was offensively. Herbert's getting sacked back there. He's not given an opportunity to give some time to throw to these really good wideouts they have in LA. But Kellen Moore was a weakness, and Brandon Staley was a weakness. How a coach can end the last 2 seasons with a loaded roster and a great young quarterback with inexcusable coaching errors. The game against Vegas that cost the Chargers a playoff trip, in which he called timeout when the Raiders were going to concede to a tie, in which both teams would have gotten to the playoffs. And then last year, up 27-0. And this is why I defend Dallas not throwing the ball a heck of a lot, not really open up their playbook with Dak. You're up 26-0. Why are you having to go nuts on the Giants when your defense is playing well? Up 27-0, throwing the ball constantly instead of just trying to milk out the clock and keeping one of the best quarterbacks on earth, Trevor Lawrence, off the field. It's amazing what coaching can do for a player's development, positively and negatively. Tua looked great yesterday. I've been a Tua skeptic. Tua was awesome. Awesome. And this looks every bit like a Dolphins team. I predicted them to make the playoffs, win double-digit games for the first time in I don't know how long. But man, it is maddening to see a coach come in with a game plan and when it's not working, not address it. If there is any football player on the face of God's green earth that should not be left one-on-one in man-to-man coverage, it is Cheetah. Wow. I don't get it. And even in that last play, in which, by the way, Tua, to me, his best throw of the day, and he had a lot of great ones, was the fade to Tyreek in the right corner of the end zone, which gave the Dolphins the lead for good. That was basically the game-winning drive. Was gorgeous. Probably the best throw of the NFL weekend. Why you leave Tyreek Hill one-on-one? It's remarkable to me, especially I think it was on that drive. I think it was 3rd and 10 for Miami. Tyreek's lined out wide. That's the guy that can beat you. I know they have Waddle. I know they have Mostert, who's good, catching the ball in the backfield. It's just bad coaching is I'll use the word again. It's maddening to watch. And we don't often we do oftentimes coaching, not as much as offensive lines. I have the saying offensive lines are like the air conditioning systems. You're only noticing them when they're not working. Like Orlando Brown was trending on Twitter yesterday. That's not a good... You don't want to be trending as an offensive lineman. You don't want to be trending as a referee. You want to be mostly out of sight, out of mind, and just doing your job. And it's... You've got a game plan. It's not working. It's 3rd and 10. I don't even know what to do with myself right now. I picked the Dolphins to win, so I'm happy the Dolphins won because I picked them, and that was my upset of the week. But when you're watching a player in Justin Herbert, who... And I'm slowly starting to buy into Tua. I really am. Love what I'm seeing. Comparing with him and Mike McDaniel, and I love Brian Flores, but Mike McDaniel's getting the best out of Tua. He's playing to his strengths. By the way, Tua's showing off an arm that I didn't know he really had. But it sucks to see a player who's good and gets excellent coaching and excellent weapons. Now, not to say Justin Herbert doesn't have good weapons, but it's tough to watch a remarkable prospect, a remarkable talent, who, by the way, is a good kid, good leader, works hard, get handicapped, get handcuffed by a limited offensive coordinator and a terrible head coach. That game was hard to watch. I'm not gonna lie to you. Even as somebody who picked the Miami Dolphins. So. Listen, Miami's going to be a problem moving forward. Again, knock on wood, Tua stays healthy. That was obviously a huge concern for him last year. I've been a Tua skeptic for the longest time, but folks, that was awesome. By the way, something else too, coaching. Miami's down. What were they down? It was a situation late first half. Let me make sure I get it right because I want to get this accurate and paint the picture of what this was. So, okay, here we go. So, Dolphins have the ball at their own 25, 9 seconds left. They are leading. The game's tied 17-17. Okay, so Dolphins got the ball at their own 25, 9 seconds left. Almost every team in the NFL, not saying they shouldn't, but almost every team in the NFL would take a knee there. And Tua takes a shot for Jalen Waddle, completes it for 22, and then at the end of the half, it was an underthrown ball, but that might have been part of the strategy. Last play of the half, they take a shot for I think it was Tyreek, and J.C. Jackson mauls him. And Miami ends up getting a field goal at the end of the half. Field goal's 3 points. Miami won by 2. Like, it's those little plays. Again, that's a 9-second sequence in a 60-minute game that may have changed the outcome. Coaching is so important, and I don't think we give enough love. We often we're We're looking at the great quarterbacks and these incredible talents at wide receiver, pass rushers, defenses. We do not give enough love to head coaches in the NFL, great ones. We give criticism to bad ones like Brandon Staley. We don't give enough love to the great ones. So Mike McDaniel is slowly evolving and slowly developing himself into a great head coach. Tua is not as good as Justin Herbert. He's not. And I'm starting to buy into Tua, but he's not as good as Herbert. That was as big of a coaching mismatch as I've ever seen watching, certainly this weekend. Unbelievable. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.